Kalimera, Kalispera, whatever time you are watching, this is Mappa. The season hasn't begun yet, but there's plenty to talk about. I'm Stel, and I've got a gentleman here that's very clean shaven, and he's about to take up a career in modeling, aren't you, Thassos?
You know what? You know what?
What?
What is going on?
Oh, look at that. Look
What is going on?
that.
What is going on here?
Elite.
Yes.
That is elite.
So, my cousin runs a shop in Cyprus called the Custom T-Shirt Company. So you can find them on www.thecustomtshirtco.com, and you basically just either send them an email, be like, I want a T-shirt that looks like this with this, this, and this, and then you got, I think it's like €20 plus postage and packing. And I got this within about 8 days of us finalizing it. So I'll just get it out again. What is going on? What is going on?
Very, very nice. And for Anorthosis fans watching, you know where to get it from now. And also, Anorthosis Football Club, Thassos has the trademark for that. So
yeah, that's
don't even think about it.
That's it.
Kyrie Sandis, if you're watching.
Don't sue.
Don't sue. No, I don't think they've got image rights for players.
No,
I don't think they do.
No, Majid will. But no, basically that means now then that us and Louis in Gibro are my cousin's most famous clients.
Very nice.
Like every Friday night, I think he does his show, doesn't he, Louis?
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, every Friday night, the T-shirts that he's got on, they're from the Custom T-shirt Company.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so there you go.
Congratulations. Excellent.
Plug out the way.
There you go. Well, unfortunately, Anorthosis aren't in Europe this season, but there are 4 Cypriot teams who are. And let's kick off with the league champions who made their Champions League debut against Bate Borisov, and they battered them, did they? There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Battered them. But yeah, so kind of started off fairly quickly, didn't it? Three goals before half time. Three Aris goals, I think. You know, it's the fast paced, get the ball into the box, try and get something to someone as quick as possible. And then they had this changeover at halftime and took 2 or 3 took 2 players off at halftime, didn't they? And that seemed to mess up a little bit with the rhythm of the team. They had that really, really dodgy goal that they conceded right after halftime, and then kind of brought it back, got themselves into gear. Montenor scored, I think, the pick of the goals. Came off the bench, and that 2 minutes later, he scored that goal. Something that's missed off these highlights, obviously, because we're only seeing the goals, is Montenor scored the goal, and then the Bate goalkeeper, and I think the defender who's called Bane or Bate or something.
Yeah, Bane, I think.
And they were going at each other for a good minute and a half while his players were off celebrating, and then the broadcast was just concentrating on these 2 players, on the same team pushing each other. Kind of, it was almost, but not quite, like kind of like the Kieran Dyer, Lee Bowyer thing that Newcastle had.
Yeah, it happened with Graham Lasso and David Batty in Europe for Blackburn, didn't it? I remember that
as well. All right, okay. So yeah,
incredible. But it was a huge win for Aris. They were dominant from start to finish. The first 20 minutes, half an hour, they were out of sight.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a cricket score. They took their foot off the gas, which obviously led to the Bate Borisov goals. The question I have for you, if and when they progress to the next round, because I'm pretty sure they will. I can't see them ballsing this one up. But depending on the opponent that they have, do you see them playing a different way? Because as I said, they started on the front foot, and the goals that they conceded were purely due to defensive lapses.
I'm just trying to look up who they're supposed to be playing in the third round as the two teams that they got drawn against, but I don't think Shpilevsky not the one to change kind of not necessarily the tactic, but kind of the way that they push forward the way they do. I think what they need to do is kind of what they did towards the end of the season last season, where they shored up the defense a bit more, because Bate kind of suffering a little bit in the in their league campaign at the moment. They're in fourth place, and they're halfway through their season over there, and they've lost a few players. They've not been as good as they have been previously. They're not doing too well. So you'd expect Aris to kind of, I wasn't expecting them to stonk them the way that they did, but I was expecting Aris to win in Lemeso. The amount of goals they won by means they've probably got through now. And I don't see Shpilevsky changing so much the way that they attack. What I think he would like from the team, and I think it'd be whoever's looking at Aris right now, would be to make sure that their defense is more on point, more talking to each other, because it looked like the mistake of that first goal right after half time seemed to be a lack of communication. And, obviously, if the heat continues to be what it is in Gibro, then they should be using that to their advantage, like they did against in that last match, because Bate looked like they were done after 10 minutes. They looked like they played a full game of football after 10 minutes. It was
the thing is, but Bate have got practically a new team. Okay, so we can't discount that from the equation. However, they were knackered. They were absolutely cream crackered. And all right, the second leg, I don't think it's going to be in Belarus either, because of what's happening in that part of the world. So I think it might be in Hungary or something like that. So that, neutral ground. I don't know if there's going to be many supporters there. It's not as if they're going to have tens of thousands of fans. The pressure will be off Aris as well. I'm guessing, as you quite rightly said, Mr. Shpilevsky is going to keep the same system. He might rotate a bit, which wouldn't surprise me, because the season starts, was it the 10th? That's 7 days after the next round, if I think. Unless the next round is on the 7th. I can't remember. No, what are we talking about? The next round.
The two-legged third qualifying round ties will take place on the 8th/9th and 15th of August.
Right, so he's going to have effectively 7 days to prepare for the next leg. If not less than that, 5 days.
So next week they'll be playing the second leg, and then the week after they'll be playing the third qualifying round. So they will either be playing Rakał Częstochowa
from Poland.
Apologies, Polish listeners / watch viewers, or Qarabag. So one
Qarabag,
of those teams, yeah.
You just cut off for a second, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So either Rakał Częstochowa or Qarabag.
Okay.
So you'd expect them to probably play the same kind of system against those two teams, I think.
Well, the Polish side, I think they're 3-2 up from the first leg, if I'm not mistaken, against Qarabag. Qarabag are a decent team. They gave Omonia a bit of a thrashing a couple of seasons ago. I say thrashing. Well, at the KCB they did anyway.
But it looks like teams with European pedigree in the qualifiers at the moment seem to be stuttering and not performing as well as they should be against some of the inverted commas lower opposition teams. There's some weird results coming through over the last couple of weeks. So, while Qarabag are doing fine, because Rakov, this is their first foray into Champions League as well. Like they've not qualified for European competition before, so could be I'd expect either way for that to be a difficult game for Aris. But again, I don't think Shpilevsky is going to change much tactics wise.
Well, let's see. As I said, I can't see them not going through to the next round, and I'm pretty sure they'll fancy their chances against either Karabag or the Polish side, which I'm not going to try to pronounce. But again, no disrespect. Rakov. I'm not going to, disrespect them. I don't know anything about the Polish side. Karabag, I know, have made a lot of changes from their squad since they faced Omonia a couple of years ago. So again, they're still unknown to me, but the way that Aris play and the speed that they've got up front and the quality they have all over the pitch, it will be a good opportunity for them. I'm sure they'll give them a good game. Anyway, next game. Let's go with Omonia because chronologically they were the ones that were next, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So Omonia beat Gabala, another team from Azerbaijan, 3-2 after going a goal down. But it was the Bezos show, wasn't it? A Hattie from Bezos. And I don't know what's happened. Who the fuck is this guy? Because I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been trying to work his name into Renaissance. So it was like Bezos. Either way, right? Renaissance, right? In French means rebirth. He's basically, he's come back. He's come back from preseason. It looks like a completely different signing. It's like he's been reborn, completely different player from the player that kind of started last season and got to January, and people were saying about him leaving the club, him not performing. So hopefully he now kicks on, and well hopefully for Omonia fans he kicks on and continues this vein of form he's in at the moment. Because again, he got the assist in the cup final as well, didn't he? So
half assist.
Yeah.
He gave it to. But he played the part. He played the part.
Yeah. But yeah, kind of. I think the kind of the way that the team played, I think they'll be very disappointed in how close the game was. It looked very bitty and very, in theory, you go through pre-season to work on team cohesion, and it just didn't look like it was all there yet. So yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. But I think as well there was kind of like, you don't necessarily think it kind of it'll be a subliminal thought like, well, these guys should be pushovers. So you kind of lift the foot off the accelerator a little bit, and I think conceding the goal as well in the 4th minute kind of shook the team up a little bit, and I think that's kind of what went on. But yeah, Bezos show, and Gabala as well. They had the same players score their goals as well, didn't they? And apparently, as an Apoel fan, it's nice to see Omar Hani kind of getting on Monia's faces as well during the game, because apparently he had a very good game as well. I think he assisted the first goal as well.
Yeah, the first one. The first one. The thing is, we discussed this on No Choftes, so I'm not going to delve into it too deep. But when I look at the defensive display and I look at the lack of imagination up top, you could talk about cohesion all you want, but when the individual mistakes are clear and obvious, it's a big concern. And I'm not going to talk about the midfield again. If you want me to discuss it, you can just go back to No Choftes and you can listen to what I said about that the other day. But watching the highlights again, the amount of tactical fouls that were being made by Gabala, it didn't surprise me. I don't have a problem with it, don't get me wrong, because it's part and parcel of the game now. And you need to be able to overcome teams that are slowing the game down, stopping your momentum, And again, it just goes back to what I said about Omone's head coach not having a secure plan B or a way to turn things round from a tactical perspective. You know him as well, having coached Abuel. Did you guys feel the same sort of way about him?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what cost him his job at the beginning of last season, is that there was a plan. The plan wouldn't work, and there was no change of that plan. So it's kind of what lost him his job at Abuel. I think there's, I think when we had the discussion with Joel Mal as well, we were talking about him being a bit horcado, and it's kind of like this horcado mentality. So another gamo boselo, je big kind of mentality, I think, because I'm a little bit like that, and I'm a horcado. Like I'm a charlui, but I'm also horcado. So I got both those blevres. But yeah. So I think there's a bit of that in there, but saying that, kind of the way that he's kind of messing around with the central midfield a little bit. He's trying to figure out a plan B in that central midfield, because, like you said the other day, Bashir wasn't on the pitch, so he was trying to figure out how to get a game won without Bash on the pitch. I'm guessing there's like maybe an age issue, or like maybe he wouldn't be able to fulfill a full 90, especially with the kind of energy that Bashiru plays with. So maybe he's trying to figure out a plan B. He should have figured that out in pre-season rather than during a European qualification game. But it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. So let's move on, because we've done 17 minutes of talking about these bloody games. Right. This one had less goals, but a win for your team, Thassos. Abuel 2, Vojvodina 1. Thoughts, my friend?
Yeah. I mean, let's call it an efficient performance. There's not really much else to say about it. It could have been a very different result if they had better strikers up front for Vojvodina. Now they had a chance right at the beginning of the game, where kind of the only reason I'm picking on Chabak for this is because I was looking for his mistakes kind of as like a negative bias. Kind of, I was looking for like, this is him fucking up and he's proving me right. But he'd got pushed off the ball a bit too easily. And then Vojvodina went on the counter-attack, and they just left Crespo and Vali at the back with two strikers, and one of the strikers for Vojvodina got to the point of where he was just one-on-one with Belek, and Belek pulled off a good save. But yeah, after that, Chabak had a very solid game, performed very well. Kind of makes me think that maybe he wasn't playing in the correct position all this time, and he should be playing in that stopgap left back role rather than where he would normally play. But yeah, a 1-goal cushion to take to Serbia is a difficult one to keep for the second leg. So I don't expect the team to sit back. I expect them to kind of carry on in the same vein as in the first leg, because the team were trying to put passes together, trying to force spaces open. Daya, he got on the score sheet. Hopefully that carries on. Get that eagle celebration that he's got there. Get more of that out. And I want just Dvali's goal. Like, I don't know where he got the acrobatics from for that. Like, I don't know where he got the reflexes to take that shot from the corner. But
yoga,
good on him.
Yoga.
Yeah, but good on him. It was a good performance. Any other day, they might have conceded another goal or two. But an even better day, they would have scored like another goal or two as well. So it was a game of very, very fine margins, but I think the better team won anyway.
I had one eye on the game because it started after the Omonia game. So by the time the Omonia game had finished, there was still about 15, 20 minutes, half an hour of it left. But the thing is, I caught the first 10, 15 minutes anyway, because I think it was half time during the Omonia game, if I'm not mistaken. But I caught the first 10, 15 minutes. And the first thing I noticed was how different Sapinto's system is in comparison to Milojevic. So you practically had the same sort of lineup. So if you looked at the team sheet, you'd think 4-2-3-1 straight away. But it wasn't like that. You only had one holding midfielder, Kostadinov. He was the only holding midfielder. Sarfo and Dalcio were the other two central midfielders. And they had specific zones in the pitch that they covered. So you'd rarely see Sarfo in Dalcio's zone, so to speak, and vice versa. Only when they had to win the ball if one of them was dispossessed. And I found it incredible how spaced out the players were. It's almost as if the system was designed to prevent these short passing 5-yard spaces. You know, like how you've seen rondos where they got one player in the middle, or playing triangles. It's almost as if the system was designed so Abwa wouldn't play that. It looked to me that Sapinto wanted to stretch the pitch to space out the players as far as possible to get the ball and spread the play as soon as you could.
Yeah.
And by spreading the play, it immediately activates your fullbacks to get forward and support the two wide men up front, which were it was Fetfatsidis and the other guy was Wilson. Sorry, Wilson. I'll remember his surname because I had a friend at school called Andrew Wilson, so I'll remember that. Don't worry. So I think it was a very clever system. But what I will say about that is that there were 2 or 3 occasions, especially at 0-0. There was one moment where Vojvodina broke through down the middle, and it was 2v2. And the centre forward got in behind the 2 centre backs. And I think, was it Dvali that made that last gasp challenge that put him off? I can't remember. But they got in behind Abor too easy. And you saw with the equaliser how easy it was. So again, same with Sofroni in the sense that it could be a system problem when it comes to the defensive side of things. Again, that's just my evaluation. I don't think they played badly, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's an intelligent system, but it's got a few flaws.
I don't think it's I don't think it's a system problem. I think it's a personnel problem. You know, you've got Diwali last season wasn't, first choice centre back. You've got a right back playing at left back. You've got Crespo is 34, I want to say. And especially when you've got your fullbacks going as far forward as they are in Sapinto's system, you need a centre back pairing. Sorry, I've got a cough. But yeah, you need a centre back pairing that's got some speed, some agility, can chase after that loose ball that might be coming in over the top. So if they don't find, they've got other centre backs that they've signed. I don't know if they're going to end up using them or not, but if they don't end up using a different centre back pairing, I think Abuel are going to concede a lot of goals with the ball over the top.
Let me show you something very quickly. Right? This is just one phase of the play against Vojvodina, right? First half an hour mark, right? Right now, the ball is in the centre-back area. It's been pumped long. So as you can see, I think Dalcio is staring at the ball in the sky. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
So the ball's over the top, right? Now, look at where Shebak is. Okay? And look at where he ends up. Look where he is now. He's on the 6-yard box. So again, I think these are phases that we're going to see more and more. In fact, it led to the goal. The ball ended up on the other side and it crossed in and they scored. So I think you're going to see this more and more, whereby your fullbacks are going to support your wingers, but also support in central areas. And I think that's a deliberate ploy from Sapinto in terms of stretching the play. And if they do get caught in the counter-attack, at least their centre-backs are not going to be 20 yards away from each other. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think it's a work in progress. Let's put it this way. And like I said, I'm interested to see how it's going to progress, if he's going to change it or he's going to stick, if that makes sense. Because
because the system he's kind of playing, he's only playing 2 at the back, where it kind of works a bit more when you've got 3.
Yeah.
So either he doesn't have any confidence in the other central defenders that he's got there,
well, apart from those 2
or he's
centre-backs,
just
who else has he got?
He's got what's it called, Garamanolis. He's got
silence.
Yeah. They need to sign at least another centre back. But yeah.
Right. Let's move on to another game with 5 goals, and that was Ajax almost blowing a 3-0 lead. Put a lid on it still, against Torpedo something. I'm not going to try and pronounce their names.
Torpedo Jordino.
Yeah, there you go. What he said. So yeah, it was comfortable until half time, and then it's almost as if Ajax said, it's over. It's all done and dusted. And Dumba made a big error there. And it's going to be a tricky second leg. But I guess if they start on the front foot like they did in the first leg, it could be over by half time. But again, you'll never know.
I don't know, man. That Dumba didn't do a good. He didn't promote Cypriot goalkeepers very well, did he? He was. I mean, for both those goals, he should have done a lot better. But as well, there was a point in the first half where he collected a pass, and I think Ultra wants the keepers to play kind of like the short pass out, build up from the back. And he tried to boot it clear, and then he basically set up an attack for Torpedo by booting it clear. And you could, and they Gekida and all these other outlets ended up taking pictures of Ultra going absolute ape shit from it. But yeah, there was also another point in the first half where the Dumba was off his line, and the Torpedo attacker saw him off his line, and he tried to chip it in, and the ball bounces off the crossbar and back out again. So yeah, I think Dumba was given the chance to kind of make a name for himself, and I don't think he covered his name in glory in that game. Really, it was, yeah. But you know, the return leg is in Larnaca, and you'd expect Hayek to put the game to bed. Don't expect them to lose the game in Larnaca.
But they've got a new goalkeeper, haven't they? From Valencia.
Yeah. Herrerin was on the bench, as was Piric. So they were both on the bench.
So are we going to speculate here and say Piric is going to be out the door pretty soon, and our new Spanish friend will be the number 1? Because I'm guessing he can use his feet.
Well, I mean, yeah, if he was playing for Valencia last season, I think he did actually play games for him as well. It's not like he was signed as second or third choice. He was brought in and actually played for them last season as well. So you're frowning, you're looking it up. But yeah, no, he did play. I'm pretty sure he played. Anyway, I don't know.
No, the reason why I'm frowning is because I've never had a problem with foreign players coming to Cyprus. Never. I never have done. I never will. But I seem to remember Pafos signing a goalkeeper from Espanyol that won a Champions League with Barcelona. And I can't remember the last time he actually played.
It was in the cup against Doxa, and he's still there as well. He's still at Buffalo. So yeah. No, you're right. But I don't know if anybody's come for Pirich, because if they had come for Pirich, they would have already got him, especially if it's a team in Europe. If they're going through European qualifications, they'd want to register him so that he could be on play or be on the bench or whatever. So I don't know. I do not know.
Anyway, listen, it is what it is. They got the win. That's all that matters. And I think this is the other thing that we didn't mention. 2 players who many believed would leave the club got on the score sheet. That's Gushko and Faraj.
Yeah.
I think it's a bonus keeping them. Big bonus.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, we're going to talk about transfers in a minute, but it seems to be like the big headlines are who's leaving rather than who's coming in, but it's also who's staying. So yeah, if they keep Faraj and Gushko, then you'd expect them to be high up, like where they were last season. Probably not the same escapades in Europe as they had last season, but definitely in the league, because Cypriot defenses can't deal with those 2.
There you go. Well, let's see. It's still time. There's still time for more transfers to be made. And speaking of transfers, look at this segue. Let's talk about a Cypriot international that did extremely well last season, that even Mr. Fabrizio Romano mentioned on Twitter a few weeks ago. And the whole situation is leaving us a little bit flat. Mr. Bitta, let's talk.
Flat, yeah. Flatbread. I like it. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, they haven't made it official yet. I think he's traveling tomorrow as we're recording this.
Well, do you want to explain the situation to people that don't understand?
Oh yeah, no, I'll go through from the beginning, shall I? So,
because you got a lot of Swedish people messaging you in Swedish, so that Google Translate was on overdrive.
Oh yeah. The good thing, the Twitter translate button hasn't broken down yet. So thanks, Elon. Thanks for keeping that on there. But yeah,
X.
Yeah, X gonna give it to you. But yeah, so in essence, AIK. I don't know if you pronounce it just AIK, like what we do with AIK and whatnot. But AIK in Sweden at the beginning of the transfer window basically offered 300 grand to Apollon to buy Pittas, and Apollon laughed it off. As well as there was also a Dubai, an Emirati team that also offered the same amount. Again, that got laughed off. Then Rapid Bucharest came in with 600 grand. Apollon said no. And then there was talk of Olympiacos and AEK in Greece getting involved as well. I don't think a concrete offer was made for him at that point. But AEK went from AIK went from 300 grand to 900 grand plus a sell-on percentage. It's supposed to be between 10 and 15%. I haven't been able to find an accurate value for the sell-on percentage, but that was basically the as close as Apollon thought they'd get to the 1 million that they were looking for. So they agreed to that offer, and Pittas basically agreed to join AIK. Now, at the 11th hour, Häcken in Sweden as well, who are kind of fighting at the top of the league at the moment and are in Europe, also put in the same offer, which kind of complicated matters, which is why it seemed like everybody from Sweden was atting me, going like, Hacken, IEK, Hacken, IEK, or plastic fans, or 25 to 30,000 people, or European games, or real pitch versus plastic pitch.
Is that what you were getting?
Yeah, and there was talks of like Nazi owners. There was all kinds of stuff going off. I mean, there was one comment which I enjoyed, which I had to put through Google Translate because X Translate wasn't doing it for me. But it was just like, "Suck BK ass," which I thought was great. But anyway, less about me, more about the transfer. So Apollon and Pittas rejected the approach from Hacken because they'd already agreed the offer from AIK, and it seems like, for once, kind of politeness has reigned in football rather than just let the two teams fight it out. Apollon and Pittas just said, no, we've already agreed this deal, so we're going to go with these guys. I think part of it as well is obviously Henning Berg is managing AIK. Even though AIK are kind of flirting around the relegation places in the Allsvenskan at the moment. They're about halfway through their season over there. But yeah, Pittas signing for them could be like a really big signing. A lot of people ask me, some people ask me, what kind of player Pittas was. I told them he used to play on the wing. He's very good as a second striker. He will score lots, but he will also miss a few chances as well. As we saw last season, he scored a lot of goals. He could have scored a lot more goals. But the one thing is that Swedish fans will see from him is that he works very, very, very hard. Like, he will sweat buckets, even in Sweden.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that stands out most for me with Pittas, the similarity I draw is with Gagulia Omonia, in the sense that you give him a split second to make a decision and he'll put it away. Give him time to think, fluffs his lines. And once he gets that down patted, then he'll be more consistent. Not to say that he's not already consistent, because obviously we saw the amount of goals that he scored last season, but you need to put bigger numbers, and it's going to be a far more demanding league, I believe, anyway, in Sweden.
Yeah, it will be, especially the situation is coming in, because it's a very well supported team in Sweden, and at the moment they're not doing very well. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on his shoulder. He's going to have a lot of pressure on him to perform kind of straight away. So keep watching us or listening to us. We'll tell you how he's doing.
For sure. On to another transfer, my friend. One with more controversy than you can shake a aeroplane at. It's landing Badji, who has left Aris to join a club in Qatar. Now, doesn't sound abnormal to those who don't know the situation, but the goalkeeper joined them beginning of July for 70 grand. And yesterday, or 2 days ago at time of recording, he's joined a club in Qatar for a deal worth 1.1 million euros. I'll let you have the floor with this, and then we can discuss our thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the statement kind of came from nothing from Aris, obviously, because Badji had signed on the 1st of July. 19-year-old goalkeeper from Senegal. He played all through the African Nations Youth Cup. Kept a clean sheet all the way through, including the final, where Senegal won it as well. So he seems to be a good goalkeeper. Now, however, he was playing for a team in Senegal at the time of purchase from Aris, which is why you could say the value is probably deflated. So 70,000 euros is not a lot of money to spend for Aris anyway, let's say. Now, the sale kind of came out of nowhere because Badji he's been at Aris for 27 days. So it was on the 28th of July that Aris announced that the sale was done. And not only they announced that the sale was done, they actually gave the values. They announced the values of the sale. So they said worth 1.1 million euros. Now, a lot of people online have been commenting and saying that there's been some money laundering involved on Aris's part. So, I mean, when you look at it without context, it does look very strange. But then you kind of look at a few more details, like you said, and there seems to be more of a picture being built up. For instance, the team in Qatar that he's signing for is Salal, and the president of the club is a member of the Al Thani family, and the Al Thani family are the Qatar family. They're the emirs of Qatar. So there's a lot of money already in a club like them. So they've got the cash to splash, let's say. Now the fee. So you've kind of pinpointed the word worth. So when we discussed it kind of offline, you'd said that there's probably like an upfront fee of 250 or 500 or whatever, and then the rest of that 1.1 million gets added on bonuses based off of appearances, cup wins, championship wins, international appearances, whatever else goes on. And that's what comes up to the 1.1 million euros. Now, on top of that, we've had a couple of conversations over the last few weeks as well on agents being a bit weird. So it could be an agent thing. I mean, we talked about Ola Tunji, who was at AEK and went out on loan to Slovan Liberec, and they exercised the option to buy him, and they bought him for 500,000 euros. And then, like 12 days later, they sold him to Sparta Prague for 900,000 euros. So it was like, there you go. We take him here, take him over there. So it's not unheard of. I think what the thing that set people off is the difference in the value paid for him with the value they got for him. And I think that's where it's coming in. Now, money laundering wise, you'd think that if they were doing something, let's say shady, I won't say illegal or whatever else, if they were doing something shady, then the value of the transfer would it not be undisclosed? Like basically what all the clubs are doing now. It's an undisclosed value for the transfer. And then everybody kind of guesses or hearsay, or I saw the contract and it says this and whatnot. So wouldn't it be an undisclosed amount if it was money laundering?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I think the whole money... Okay, if Aris were a team owned by a Cypriot, I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid. If Aris were a team that had an owner that had friends in the press, I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid. I just think that because Aris are foreign owned, because of the nationality of their owner, immediately, laundering. And On one hand, I can understand why some people feel this way, because in Cyprus, we've seen and heard certain things. But at the same time, have we heard anything about Aris doing anything untoward? I can't remember anything. So for me, it just smacks of people are starting to hate on Aris because of their success and because of the money that they have and the money that they can throw at players. And it was coming, because every club that has success, they have haters. It happens. And I think people are genuinely scared that this club could dominate for years. Now, I'm going to put a pin on that. I'm going to talk about this situation with Badji, going back to what you said about the deal. They purchased him for 70 grand. Now, as far as I remember, they actually announced that they were going to sign him months before the actual official signing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was like a month before. It was the end of the season.
Okay. Now, I'm not saying that loads of things change in that month and he improved to such an extent where his value was clearly skyrocketing. However, a lot of transfer deals aren't done the same way. I'll give you an example. If a player joins a club for 5 million, for example, and it's a 5-year contract, there's amortization, which is an FFP kind of situation whereby the selling club or the buying club will put it on their books that it was a £5 million deal spread over the length of the contract. So it's 5 million divided it by 5 years, which is £1 million a year. That's what they put on their books, plus any signing on fee, plus the wages. So if the player's on, say, £500,000 a year, again, it goes down on the books as 1.5 million. Do you get what I'm saying?
That's why Chelsea got into trouble with the 7, 8, and 9 year contracts they were offering players.
Right. But that's a different situation. It's a different situation. Yeah. But in this case, goes back to what you said and what's on the Aris website. It's a deal worth 1.1 million. It's worth it. So by that term, it's a bit of a vague term to those that aren't fully involved in football, fully understand how these things happen. The deal is worth 1.1 million, but it doesn't mean that Aris are going to make 1.1 million. It depends on a lot of things. Now, as you quite rightly said, Aris might have got 100 grand up front, and over the next 5 years, they might accumulate a certain amount of money based on appearance fees, clean sheet fees, if he gets an international call up to Senegal. Because don't forget, when a player goes on international duty, the club gains money from the federation, which is why a lot of clubs in Cyprus, especially my club Omonia, certain players are still at the club because they're actually worth more keeping because they still go on international duty than they are to sell. So it could come a point that at the end of the 5 years, when the player is at the out of contract, or if he leaves the club, in that 5 years, if it is a 5-year deal, I'm just assuming, I'm just hypothetical here. In that 5 years, he might play so well, he might accumulate enough of those clauses for Aris to make that 1 million. And for all we know, here's the other thing which no one really mentions, Aris might even have a set percentage sell on, which means they could say, okay, if you sell on this player, we want at least 500,000 or 750,000 of the deal. So if the players offer 20 million, Aris are going to make 250,000 or 750,000. So exactly, this is what I'm talking about. It's a deal worth. So they might make 750,000 on a sell-on. But again, people are too busy saying, "Oh, it's money laundering. It's this." Well, unless you see the contract, and again, I'm being hypothetical here. I'm not saying that I know what's happened with the deal, but usually these things happen. So again, Aris haven't broken down what the deal is about. Neither have the new club, but they don't have to. They don't have to. They don't have to divulge it to the public, to their lawyers, to the federations or whatever, FIFA, whoever. They'll have to if it's in question. But to be honest, the deal is, for all we know, they might actually get more than that. They might actually get more than that, for all we know. So again, I think we just need to nip it in the bud. And there was someone on Twitter that said, "Oh, you guys need to address it because if it was another club that would behave that way. Look, I'll just say it like it is, right? We are very cautious as to what we say, not because we're primarily worried about damaging relationships with clubs. We've never really been that way inclined, where it's like, oh, we better not say that. We tell it like it is. But the problem is, and this is something that has affected me, and especially Roy, who I do the podcast with. There are things that I've said on No Choftes about a certain club, my club, where my colleague or my co-host who hasn't been involved in it, that's got nothing to do with it, has taken the brunt of it. So there are things that I could say that will get other people in trouble, even though they've had nothing to do with it. Now, we know in Cyprus that certain things don't fly. And we know about a certain podcast and some allegations, which I'm not going to go into, that could have been detrimental to them, their personal lives. Again, I'm not going to go into it because it's all allegations. I don't know the full facts. I don't want to say anything on this podcast that compromises my family or your family, Thasso. And I'm sure you feel exactly the same way. Hence the reason why we don't go balls deep on these things. We could do, and maybe one day we will, maybe. But we approach these things with caution because Cyprus is a very, very small island. Everyone knows each other, or everyone knows someone that knows someone that knows someone. And if you or I say something that's highly, highly controversial, or perhaps is a no-no, we inadvertently get other people caught in the crossfire, and we do not want to do that. As much as we love to say everything that we've heard and things that are on our minds, we know what we can and can't say. So you call us pussies all you want, but I think we're doing the right thing in protecting not ourselves, because I couldn't care less what people say about me. Come at me, I don't care. But when it comes to people that are close to me, close to you, the things that we say could be really, really harmful. So this is why we're very mindful, very mindful.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Completely agree. We can talk about the stuff that's gone on. Again, in most cases, we're only outsiders looking in to what's going on. So, for instance, what happened with Pittas, what's happening here with Badji, what's happening with some of the other stuff we're going to talk about further into the episode. Now, we can speculate, and we do a lot of speculation. I do a lot of speculation, especially. I kind of put two things together and make four sometimes. And then we have to always kind of align it afterwards to say, allegedly.
Pull the handbrake up.
Rumored, or yeah, exactly. So, we do bring this stuff up. So the reason why we kind of brought this up to discuss this is that there are certain people who view what's gone on as money laundering. There are certain people who will not view it like that. I think part of it as well is down to Aris declaring the value of the transfer. I think that's part of it, isn't it? Like, if they hadn't said anything.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to what I keep saying in terms of lost in translation.
Yeah.
On their website, they said the deal is worth. And this is the problem, because there are other websites, I'm not going to mention their names, but they've put on their website saying it's 1 million.
Yeah.
And they're not looking into it and thinking, well, this is what they've said. They haven't quoted it. And this is the danger, because people misconstrue it because they don't understand maybe the terminology, or maybe, I don't know. I don't even know if Aris have actually put it in Greek on their website or anywhere. If they put it in Greek, then it would have been more clear cut. But because people see 1 million and immediately and listen, I'm just going to sidestep a little bit. The other reason why we're very careful as to what we say, because we don't want to say anything potentially slanderous.
Libelous.
Libelous, right? Libelous, apologies. So I used the wrong term, but even still, it's the same sort of Yeah. So again, we're very cautious, and we are meticulous with what we say. And sometimes, obviously, we have fun with things and we joke around and everything. But there's obviously a serious side to journalism. But unfortunately, on the island, there are many journalists out there that love to put out stories without doing any research, or they just find one story, as you quite rightly mentioned a few months ago, how a certain coach wore the same shirt, and that was a story. I don't play that game. Neither do you. So anyway, shall we move on to the next one?
We can do, yeah.
Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so FC Buffer, or as I like to call Alia FC. No disrespect.
I was going to make a joke. I was going to make a joke about that, but you beat me to it.
Yeah. Alia FC, and for those who follow Buffer's TikTok, you might as well call them Alia FC. But hey, that's how they want to do their social media. Good luck to them. Good luck to them. If it works, it works. So we were talking about this. Was it last week? Saying if they don't make any transfers, they're going to be in trouble. Well, they're like buses, London buses. Wait for one to come along.
Yeah, I think So they brought in. I can't tell if it's on loan or a proper signing. Is it Bokai? Is that how you pronounce it? Bokaj?
Was it Dinamo Zagreb?
Dinamo Zagreb. But they've also announced the loan signing of a Brazilian player called Aleph Manga. I've got the note here. I said Aleph Manga in the hentai.
They're loans. Both of them are loans.
But yeah, they are loans. Yeah. But yeah, so Aleph Manga one is important. So I'm going to try and explain what's gone on again without being libelous, so I don't get into trouble. I'm going to try and explain it because I originally kind of heard this from two or three people kind of offhand. But basically, Aleph Manga has signed on loan for the season from Curitiba in Brazil. So there's already quite a few Brazilian players, especially up front for Pafos. So they've added another one there. So he's a very good winger. He seems to have a goal involvement every 3 games. So it could be pivotal for a system that's heavily reliant on gyro. So, they take some of the pressure off gyro. Is always a good thing for a team like Pafos. But so I've had to pinpoint this and then Google Translate a couple of reports from Brazil. In essence, Aleph Manga was one of these. Was on a spreadsheet of names that was found by an investigation by the Brazilian police into match manipulation in the second division and also in the first division in Brazil. So his name was on a spreadsheet of players to contact for match manipulation. Now, Curitiba found this out kind of the same as everybody else and suspended his contract in May. And as the investigation's gone on, he's been asked to provide testimony in the Brazilian version of Congress. But nothing's come of it as of yet. However, Curitiba have decided to kind of bring him back onto his contract. Now, to kind of take the pressure off him, keep him fit. I don't know the reason why they'd send a player who is performing as well as he is to send him on loan to Pafos, but they've sent him on loan to Pafos whilst this investigation is still ongoing in Brazil. So he's not in the clear for being involved in match manipulation, but he's not being investigated as such. as far as I'm aware, in what I've read. Now there are some there are some people who've told me that he's been investigated specifically for getting a yellow card in the game, and that there's evidence on him for match manipulation for that specific incident. I've not seen anything on that reported, but again, I've only looked at like 2 or 3 articles when I googled his name, so I've tried to find some stuff. But there's only so many times you can Control C, Control V into Google Translate to see what people are saying about it. But yeah,
look, can I just cut you off there 2 seconds? Yeah, because again, you and I had a discussion about another Brazilian that joined Pafos last summer. His name's Marcinho, a right back. And this is a defender who, again, I'm looking at this website and again, Google Translate. So forgive me if there's things that are lost in translation, but this player went to court in December 2020 and he was sentenced to 3 years and 6 months for the manslaughter of apparently 2 teachers. Apparently he hit them with a car. He drove into them. Again, lost in translation. I don't know the full details. So again, this is just from what Google Translate has come up, because I don't read or speak Brazilian Portuguese. So it could be a big mess. So again, I'll just use the word allegedly, right, to cover ourselves. But this player ended up at Pafos and then he was released. So what happened? Why didn't he get a kick? Why didn't he play? Again, we don't have the answer to that.
Yeah.
But this situation with this player, while the allegation isn't as severe as Marcinho's one, there's still something there.
Yeah.
So
the investigation is ongoing. That's the thing.
Yeah. So it does seem a little bit sticky, but I'm just going to put a pin in that for a second, because today there's a story that Omonia are apparently linked with a right winger that trained with them as an individual over the summer, apparently linked to sign him permanently. And he's got an ongoing investigation in Denmark with rape allegations. So again, what is happening here? I'm confused. Is Cyprus kind of like a place where you can park players or park people when they're under investigation so that it keeps them out of the public eye, allegedly? I don't know. It's a bizarre one for me anyway. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I can't speak on something I don't know about, but there seems to be a little bit of a pattern emerging.
Yeah, there's I don't want to relate it to a Mexican soap opera, but the football in Cyprus is a telenovela. It's like, you expect to hear a few slaps, my mama is dead. No, I am your mama kind of stuff. But sometimes there's some proper serious stuff that comes through that needs looking at. I don't know who needs to look at it specifically, who ratifies the stuff that goes on, but I think there needs to be some kind of more. Somebody needs to review these things a bit more, I think, because are normally when you're under investigation or things like that, there's a travel ban, no?
I assume so.
Unless you pay a bail amount. So, but again, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a solicitor or anything of the like.
Well, bro, listen, as far as I'm concerned, if they don't take away a person's passport, they can travel provided the nation that they're traveling to will let them in. So,
right.
So it just seems to me that Cyprus possibly is a loophole, but I think we've spent quite a bit more time on this than we should have.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Okay. Speaking of trouble, there's a club in Limassol that's in a bit of trouble.
Yeah. So AL kind of snuck this press release. The Somadio snuck this press release out while the European games were on. So literally no one reported on it. But as part of the press release, so there was like, AL is a club of their people. Everybody come to the stadiums, buy your season tickets, etc., etc. So big push. Obviously, as this part of the season goes, you push to get people to buy season tickets to support the team, represent the team. Try and sort that out. Now, kind of towards the middle of the press release, they dropped in a couple of paragraphs that I think AL fans should be very worried about. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it out in English, but people, it's a press release. If you go on their website, it's there. However, we must inform people that the backlogs of the previous administration remain, and this creates many obstacles to the smooth running of the team. The footballers are owed part of their earnings from last season, while there are debts to former footballers, coaches, the stadium, and others. Debts that will create huge problems for our team in the near future and must be paid off immediately or settled. So it's a bombshell that they hid. Like the press release, at least on Twitter, appeared like 30 minutes into the Omonia game, I think, something like that. So while everybody's talking about the games going on, this got snuck out. So it's very dangerous times ahead, I think. I think that's why there were a few players who are at the club at the moment that maybe did not confirm that they were staying with the club until quite late on.
Yeah.
It's obviously, you've got this backlog of payments but if the players aren't getting paid, then they're not going to want to stay at the club, are they?
I think they've been very clever about it. And I'll give you my explanation here, because other clubs, none mentioned, haven't released any kind of information like that. And then you find out a few months later in the press that, they owe players money from May, March, whatever. And it really lands them in the shit. Whereas now they're being transparent. They're sharing information. But what confuses me is that they did it, was it the same day or the day after they announced 2 signings?
Yeah.
2 new signings?
Yeah, so it was the day before. And then they announced. Yeah, okay. And then they announced.
That makes it even more interesting, doesn't it? Mm. So is this their way of possibly, I wouldn't say pre-warning fans, but at least letting them know that the club does have financial difficulties, but yet they're still trying to resolve the issues? Again, I think this is as transparent as they can be without divulging how much dirt there is. Not saying that there is loads of dirt, or maybe that was the wrong word to you, but how much financial damage there is.
Yeah. I mean, you just need to look at their declared books for last season. It's not positive at all. It's dire. If only there was like some kind of Saudi or German investor that could have come in to save the club. But
well,
there's
I don't really want to go into this, man.
No, we're not going to go into it. I just wanted to leave it out. I just wanted to leave it there. But
shall I be honest with you? I honestly believe, and this isn't like me dropping any hints or anything. I honestly believe that if any club, not just in Cyprus, but any club in the world, were comfortable with divulging every single cent of their finances to a potential investor, they would be sold, depending on the situation. So Isle, for example, let's say hypothetically speaking, they give I don't know, a portfolio or a spreadsheet stating every single outlay or every single overhead that they have or who they owe money to or where it's going. I'm pretty sure an investor will look at that, especially ones with big boy money that are serious, because there are people out there with big boy money that want to invest in clubs that, even if they are in a shit ton of debt, they'll look at it and say, okay, we can clear that. But this right here, that's circled in red, that's a problem. And that's why we don't want to take over your club. But if they are clean and they haven't got any outstanding debt to certain people, I don't see there being a problem. But the issue is twofold. Number one, there are, and again, this might not be, valid for IL, but I'm just saying, given my experience, number one, there are people at clubs that want to hold on to power for as long as they possibly can. And if there is an investor, they still want to be involved in the club in one way, shape, or form, either because they've been at the club for a long time, or they support the club, or they just don't want to relinquish any power. That's the first one. And the second problem, and this is the biggest problem, confidentiality. You cannot keep anything quiet in Cyprus. And it's not me saying like it's against the rules to keep anything quiet. I'm just saying people just cannot shut their mouths. They can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of clubs cannot trust, potential owners or potential investors cannot trust the bigger clubs. The little clubs, for example, Aris, and again, I hate to bring them up again, but I'm just using them as the best example. Aris are a small club in comparison to the big boys. They only had a handful of people looking after the club. Mr. President comes in, I want to buy the club. This one. You sign NDAs, boom, that's it. And it's all done hush-hush. No one knows what's happening at the club. Even now, there are still even people that work for the club don't want to talk about the president or what he does because it's not football related.
Yeah.
So you can't. If an investor wanted to buy IL, I'm pretty sure there would be someone that wants to buy. I'm pretty sure there are many people that will be interested in buying IL. But the problem is confidentiality. And it's a Cypriot thing. This isn't for, I'm not just saying this for IL, I'm just saying for Cyprus in general. People cannot keep their flipping mouths shut. And that's why it's true.
No,
Listen,
it is.
if there's a Qatari or a Saudi interested in buying IL, they'll come in, and the moment they make a little bit of noise or a little bit of, rustling, someone at the club or the Somadio is going to say, oh, this Arab wants to buy the club, and it ends up in the press and it ends up on websites. You can't trust people in Cyprus. I'm sorry. Unless you get them to sign an NDA to say, if this gets leaked, then you're going to pay us X amount of money as a fine. But people in Cyprus don't want to play that game. They don't do it because it's unheard of. It's unheard of, these things. So what do you want me to tell you? To be fair, again, without throwing too much crud at the Somadeo of IL, try and move away from your Cypriot mindset, move into 2023, behave like a professional outfit, which is what you should be, and do things properly. Don't do things gadabola trapezi, right? Or sort your cuvendas out in the cafene. It doesn't work like that. If you want your club to survive, you need to step up and level up. Otherwise, you're fucked.
Yeah.
And that goes for everyone.
Because it's not just in the first division now either. It's the second division. They're becoming a lot more organized. So, a club with the history of IL could get lost very easily if they don't organize themselves. But yeah. Anyway, shall we very quickly?
Yep.
Let's talk about let's talk about George Marsh very quickly. So George Marsh is IL's new signing. He was a Tottenham youth player. And he was at AFC Wimbledon. Yeah, he was at AFC Wimbledon last season. I actually went and had a look on his Instagram, and he's got Jack Rolls commenting on all his pictures all the time.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a Cypriot connection from there previously. So there you go. Yeah, so I wanted to get an opinion on the player's performance, because I'm very good at like pulling some stats out and being like, he's played this many games, scored this many goals, assists, red cards, whatever, but not actually, you know, I'm not a Y scout going like, oh, his passing needs to improve, or so I got in contact with the Wombles Had a Dream podcast.
Okay.
So this is the AFC Wimbledon fan podcast. So I asked them, what do you think? Is he any good or what? And the way that they described him is a bit like an Eric Dyer kind of midfielder. So very good at collecting the ball, very good at kind of organizing and say marshalling. Not necessarily the best at passing. So they talked about him passing it backwards and sideways all the time. And one of the big things they mentioned was that he never, ever, ever smiles. and then they had the press release of announcing the signing, and it's like the opposite of a smile. He like turns his mouth upside down.
Who took the jam out of your donut?
Exactly. Exactly. It's like all 4 pictures. He's like, so, you know, Isle fans, put a smile on his face, like in a good way, not like a Joker way. You know, be nice to him kind of way.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Without being stereotypical here, I can see him opening a pub in Cyprus and call it the Queen Vic.
Another one.
The Queen Vic.
Oh dear.
Get out of my pub! Phil!
Maybe if you had my haircut and yours, you know.
Possibly. You never know. No. Anyway, moving on. Another one, another enigma. Chico Bantha.
Yeah.
The guy that signed the new contract with Salamina, he went AWOL, and now he's linked with
Anastasi. Yeah. So Nizhny Novgorod were originally linked with him. And looking at subtext clues and whatnot, he basically, the reason he went AWOL is because he's wanting this signing. He's wanting to move away from Salamina, and Nizhny Novgorod apparently came in with an offer, but that went nowhere. And yeah, a couple of days ago, or yesterday or today, is that Anorthosis are coming in with an offer for him to Nea Salamina. Anorthosis, you know, the big club with lots of money, Anorthosis are going to offer money to Nea Salamina to buy a player. Listen, I think if it works out, great. At the moment, he's doing pre-season training, but he's doing pre-season training in his home country. So he still hasn't come to Gibro. He still hasn't gone to Gibro yet to train with the rest of the Nea Salamina team. But yeah, there's that. So good luck to him. I don't know. Whenever I hear the story of a player kind of going AWOL because he wants to move away, kind of part of me is like, do you really want to sign a player who does that?
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe, I mean, we saw him last season. He was fantastic for Salamina last season. So maybe there's a calculated risk there that the clubs that are interested in him are taking.
True, but I'm going to flip it. Is there a possibility that when he signed his new contract recently, which was what, a month?
Yeah, it's the end of the season, so May.
Yeah. So he signed his new contract. Is there a chance they said to him, okay, you sign this contract and we can assure you that if a bigger club comes in, we'll let you go. And it happened and he didn't get his move. So he said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not coming back to the
Oh,
club.
it could be that as well. Yeah, you could be completely right.
I'm speculating.
Yes.
I'm speculating.
Yes.
I don't know. But stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
Speaking of stranger things, Valbuena.
Yeah. Where the hell did this come from?
The fuck?
Yeah. Like, yeah, I don't know what it is with Apollon and old French players, but like, they go for them, don't they? Valbuena.
Apollon and Olympiacos players as well.
Yeah. Yeah, as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that was out of left field, wasn't it? It's like the rumor came in, and then six hours later, they were like, "Oh, Valbuena's on the plane going to Cyprus."
Yep.
Sorry, Slovakia, because that's where they were doing the training.
Yeah. Now, again, this, I wouldn't say it's a strange one because, you know, Apollon, they have been known to sign some pretty big names. If you think about it, over the years, they brought in Biseswar recently, obviously our friend, VAR Division, and a few others, Roberge, etc., etc. So it wasn't a strange one. But if this was a Valbuena at 34, 35, I wouldn't feel so less at ease. But at 38 years old, can he get around the pitch as well as he used to? Possibly. I'm not going to shit on the deal, but having spoken to the guys at the Gate 7 International Pod, they said that he put up some decent numbers last season for Olympiacos. So clearly he's still got it in him. But we know the Cypriot League. And very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You know, we've been missing like that bam signing. So last season we had Miralash. This season Valbuena. You know, so let's see how things develop as transfer windows until first week of September in Gibro. You know, make sure to catch all those players that kind of fallen off the grid. Come to Cyprus. It's okay. It's okay. I make you lamb. You know.
Yep. Absolutely.
But yeah,
we wanted to do a podcast on the new kits.
Yeah.
With a new friend of ours. He's ready to jump on the moment all the kits are released. I've seen a few of them. I don't know if IL's current one is the new one because it seems very
similar.
Plain. Yeah, it's very plain. But let's quickly touch on the announcements of two new kits. You got Aris that are with Adidas, Apoel that are with Macron.
Yep.
And there's a dichotomy between the quality of announcements. Now, again, I'm not going to pick them apart because this is just like you and your stadiums, me and marketing. It's just certain things.
Yeah, you're going to go off on one and we're going to be here for another hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I think Aris have won hands down with everything when it comes to the promoting, the style of the kit, etc., etc. And look, I don't want to take anything away from Adidas because I think Adidas had a big hand in how the shirt was promoted, especially the graphics and everything. But when you compare it to Abuel's, you're talking about, super space age versus Betamax.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really disappointing. It's really disappointing the quality of the video. I mean, as well, you have to think Apoel, the financial package that the marketing team was probably given was probably nowhere near what Aris's marketing team would have been working on. But it's a shame because that this season's kit is. I'm a fan of this season's kit. I might get one. It reminds me, I used to have. So when I was in sixth form, the sixth form that we had was like, dress in office attire when you come to your lessons because you're getting a qualification to work in an office. So I had a shirt that kind of had like the polychromatic kind of style that they've got going on the home shirt. So me, I'm like, it's getting me right here. I'm like, it's getting me right on Wallace's face. It's like, nostalgia. Oh, I want one. So, you know, if anybody wants to buy me an Abuel home shirt for this season, you get me one. Just don't make me watch those bloody hologram videos again.
The thing is, to be fair, Macron have really stepped up so far.
Yeah.
Abuel's kits are nice. Omonia's new kit is pretty decent, I must admit.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
But then you look at the video for the Abuel shirt launch, and you look at the font. It's been done on CapCut. I saw it straight away. It's CapCut font. Then you had Crespo overselling the shirt, which that's not the guy's fault. He was told to do that. You had the CGI skills, which I'm pretty sure Marquinhos could have done that without needing CGI.
I don't understand why they didn't just use real balls.
Right. You had a ball shot at the goalkeeper, and it moved while it was in his hand. So it was doing this while it was in his hand. Is that on my window? Someone knocking on my window? Whatever. And it was just like it was poor. It was really poor. And then to cap it all off, no pun intended, with CapCut, the free app on the phone, when you create a video, there's immediately like an end screen, which is the CapCut logo, and they forgot to take it out. So they've uploaded the video and left the end screen on. So you've basically given it away that you haven't got any editing software, or you're not using anything like Adobe Premiere or whatever. It's so unprofessional, and it ruined what was three nice
really
kits,
nice
man.
Kit. Yeah. No, completely. I agree with you. It's again, it's cost saving measures, isn't it? So the club is obviously having some issues financially, and so whilst they wanted to do the kit announcement, and they've got like part of it, I think as well, the CGI balls, part of it is they've got like these hologram type screens in the club shop, and by putting CGI balls in, it means that they can get it to kind of move the correct way and be like, the ball's coming at you, ooh, kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm making up excuses. The kit is fantastic. No need for that video. You know, I don't want to be like Omonia, but Omonia's video was like picked up some of the stuff that's on the shirt, and then
the detail, isn't it?
The detail, and then zoom out, and then you got Bashiru going, there you go, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's all it needed to be. I don't know.
Look, you got Puma are with Anorthosis and Buffo. I think Buffo have done their kit launch, but it wasn't as jazzy as the others. I haven't seen Anorthosis' new kit. I think Ayers have won the new kit of the season, to be honest. I think their kit is beautiful.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go into that when we do our kits review.
Kit review.
Right. What else have we got left? We've done
let's see. We've got quick fire. Baralimni sacked their manager after 10 days. There you go.
Nice.
That's done. Yeah. He started on the 13th of July, gone by the 23rd. Napoli versus Apollon, friendly announced. So apparently that was all down to Rudy Garcia, who's the new manager of Napoli, because he was very impressed with how Apollon had played against Lyon when he was managing them in Europe.
Okay.
Somebody on the Discord chat, promoting the Discord
link
chat.
in the description.
Yeah. Somebody had posted a link to a YouTube video of somebody commentating in French, and really going for it when Sardinero scored a goal in injury time against Lyon. So yeah, I thought that was. Regardless, I think somebody should inform Rudy Garcia that the team's changed a bit since then. Anyway,
just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it craps all over Pafos playing against Udinese, doesn't it?
They played Udinese, they played Sassuolo.
And quick fire. Knobloch has gone. He's no longer at Garmiodisa. He's been released. So no more Dick Key jokes for us. But yeah, all the good goalkeepers seem to be leaving. Like we've had Maul gone, Jovanovic gone, now Knobloch has gone. The good thing is Muriel's still here.
Yep.
And we've got a couple of others who are in the B tier that are still around, and Fabiano and Uzoho and
Van Alves,
who's still about. But yeah, guys, please stop leaving. Stay, please.
Don't go.
Yeah, don't go.
And our friend Alex is at Loxa now.
Yep, Alex is at Loxa.
Come on.
So yeah, get Shishkovsky out of here, man. Get him out of there. I don't want to set up an Alex clock now that Anodi is in the second division. But anyway, more quick fire stuff. Zradi and Shepovic have signed for teams in Thailand, as whispered very loudly by you last week. At least for Shepovic, for the Shepovic signing.
Came off the bench today, scored.
I was going to mention that as well. So he did that, and then lastly we've got Ryan Mayer has joined Stoke. So Stoke's front line is going to be Mayer and Wesley. But obviously, for people who don't know, Mayer was at AL for 2 seasons and scored goals.
He got 13 in his second season, I think.
Yeah, I think he had 19 altogether. So he scores goals.
And they were decent goals as well. They weren't tap-ins. I mean, a couple of them were penalties, but there was one goal against Anorthosis, a great header. One goal against Omonia where he had a split second to decide what to do, and he put it in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
This player's got a lot of talent, and for one reason or the other, Ferencvaros were happy to let him go. But I'll tell you what, I'm supporting Stoke next season in the Championship, just for him. I'm gonna watch their games just for him.
Mate, well, you don't want to go to Stoke on a cold, wet, windy Tuesday night.
Sure, I've been to the Britannia. It's all right.
It's not that windy. It's not that windy either.
Rory Delap isn't there though, so you can't launch those balls in the box.
Yeah, the massive throw-ins. Yeah. But so there you go.
Good luck, Tim.
Yep.
Anyway, we're done. An hour and 34 minutes. We'll be back very, very soon. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at This Is Mappa. Our personal Instagrams are on the screen right here. And everything you need to know is in the description. We've got a Facebook page. We have a Discord. Yeah, and if you have anything to say about this podcast, leave it in the comments. And I think that's about it. Anything else?
Just one more thing just to add. On the Facebook page, I've got a live document of all the transfers happening in the first division. So whether it's Abuelaris, Anorthosis, or fucking Othellos, I've got them all in there.
Duris is back. We forgot to mention
Duris. Fucking Duris. He signed for Othellos. Yes,
that's it.
Duris for Othellos.
So they were looking for a striker.
There's going to be some goals.
Come on.
There's going to be some goals.
How dare I forget mention? But hey, best for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, boys and girls, we'll be back very soon. Thank you, Thassos. We shall. Yeah. Well, I'm guessing we'll be back very, very shortly because we've got the review of the European games to come. So
exactly
this time next week. So until next time, boys and girls, adios.